blood, ash, and fire. Inside the ritual world of the Dinka tribe in the arid floodplains of South Sudan, where the land cracks under a ruthless sun and the rivers breathe only during the rains. The Dinka tribe stands tall literally and spiritually, towering in height. They are known not just for their physical presence, but for the deep scars they carry on their forehead, scars that speak of survival, identity, and pain. Among the Dinka, suffering is sacred. Pain is not something to escape it, is something to wear. Young boys on the cusp of manhood kneel before their elders. There are no anesthetics, no chants, only the hiss of a sharpened razor slicing flesh. 6 to 8 cuts slash across the forehead, deep enough to scar but measured to avoid death. The blood runs down their faces like war paint. They are forbidden to flinch, forbidden to cry. One movement, and they are shamed. One tear, and they may never become men in the eyes of their people. These scars are not decorations. They are names written in flesh, each pattern telling which clan a man belongs to. In Dinka culture, a clean face is not pure, it is incomplete. A boy without marks is seen as adrift, nameless. Dishonored, beauty, here, is carved with pain, and identity is burned into skin by blades. But the body is only the beginning. The Dinka worship cattle not in metaphor, but in living, breathing devotion. Cows are their currency, their companions, their sacred link to ancestors. A man may starve before he sells his cow. To drink the blood of a living cow is a privilege done without killing the animal. A vein is punctured, the blood caught in a gourd, mixed with milk and swallowed, warm, thick, and metallic. It is believed to give strength, wisdom, and connection to the divine. To outsiders, it is shocking. To the Dinka, it is survival. In this world, children grow up sleeping beside cattle instead of cradles. Names are given based on the cut and shape of a favorite cow, and every heartbeat is measured against the rhythm of hooves. The tribe's nomadic life moves with the herds. They do not chase land, they follow blood and milk, and through every drought, flood, and war, they cling to one unbreakable belief. Identity is forged through endurance, but endurance comes with rituals far more intimate and far more haunting than scars or blood. Because among the Dinka, the body is only the first offering, the soul must also burn, and for that, they turn to fire. In Dinka belief, cattle are not possessions, they are ancestors reborn. Living vessels of spirit and power. Every horn, every hide, every breath from a cow is sacred. Their value surpasses gold, land, and sometimes even human life. To harm one carelessly is not just a sin, it's an act against the tribe's very soul. When rains fail and the rivers vanish into dust, the Dinka do not beg for water. They reach for the neck of the sacred. A rope is tightened around the throat of a cow not to kill, but to coax. A spear point or sharpened arrow slices open a vein, and the blood pours in thick, steaming threads into a wooden gourd. The cow shudders but does not fall. It is then soothed, its life preserved. The blood is not stolen, it is shared. This mixture of fresh blood and milk is consumed raw, still warm, clotting as it touches the lips. It is bitter, it is heavy, but to the Dinka, it is nourishment for the body and blessing for the spirit. In times of famine, this drink replaces entire meals. In moments of celebration, it becomes a holy offering. Children are raised on it. Elders depend on it. Some go months without touching a drop of clean water. Cattle blood is not just survival, it is medicine, strength, identity. When the sick grow weak, blood is given. When warriors prepare for battle, blood flows again. Rituals are conducted not with herbs or chants, but with life taken gently from sacred veins. Each drop reinforces a bond as old as the tribe itself. Families measure their worth in cattle, dowries, alliances. Even tribal peace are negotiated, not with words, but with cows. A man without cattle has no voice. A family without herds is invisible. And when death comes, it is cattle that are slaughtered not to grieve, but to guide the soul into the afterlife with honor. Here, cattle do not serve their reign. Their blood is more than liquid. It is language, it is law, it is lifeline. And while the Dinka honor blood as sustenance, they worship fire as transformation. For in the next chapter, purity will come not through water or blade, but through ash, smoke, and flame. Among the Dinka, childhood does not end with age, it ends with blood. There is no feast, no dance, no father's proud speech. Manhood is earned in silence and sealed in scars. Every boy must pass through this trial. There is no choice, only pain. The ritual is called Gar, and it marks the moment a boy is no longer considered a child. It is performed with a long, thin knife or a sharpened cajon, wielded by an elder chosen not for kindness, but for precision. The boy kneels, eyes forward, his body frozen, not because of fear, but because he must not move. To flinch is to fail, to cry is to shame the family. One wrong twitch, and he carries dishonor for life. 6 or more horizontal lines are carved deep across the forehead. From ear to ear, blood pours freely, streaking down the cheeks, pooling on the chest. Each cut slices not just skin, but identity into the flesh. There is no cloth to stop the bleeding, no medicine to ease the sting. Only the stillness of the boy and the silent gaze of his community. These scars are not cosmetic. They are tribal banners, etched into the body. Each pattern is unique to a clan-marking lineage. History and spiritual belonging. To wear them is to carry the tribe's legacy. To live without them is to drift nameless in the eyes of one's own people. In some Dinka groups, the scars form a V or arc. In others, they run parallel. Clean and cruel, the deeper the scars, the braver the boy. But if the cuts are uneven, or the skin heals with shameful bumps, the boy may carry that flow like a curse spoken of in whispers, remembered in disgrace. For those who endure it in perfect stillness, the reward is not joy, it is responsibility. He is now expected to protect, to herd, to marry, to fight. A boy who bleeds without flinching becomes a man who must not break. And though the skin eventually hardens, the memory of the blade never fades. It lives behind the eyes, in the rhythm of footsteps, in the way one carries a head held high, not in pride, but in proof. But the Dinka do not stop with flesh. The next purification burns deeper, for when the body has been tested, the soul must be smoked clean, and so they turn to fire, to ash, to the sacred scent of survival. Among the Dinka, water cleans the body, but smoke cleans the soul. Bathing with soap is rare, even dismissed. Instead, purification rises from flame, settles in ash, and clings to skin like armor. Fire is not just heat, it is holy, and smoke is not something to escape, but something to breathe in, live with, and trust. At dusk, as the cattle settle into the earth, the fires are lit not for warmth, but for ritual. Dinka men gather round the flames, their bare skin glowing. Under sparks, their limbs coated in ash, they sleep beside smoldering logs for days, letting the smoke soak into every pore. The burning wood creates a thick, sweet scent that becomes a second skin, one believed to repel disease, wall off evil spirits, and keep the body spiritually sealed. Ash is more than residue. It is medicine. It is scent. It is faith empowdered. Form. Men smear it over their faces, rub it into their arms, and even inhale its fragrance to cleanse the mind. For the Dinka, a man without ash is exposed and guarded, unfinished. And among cattle, whose dung fuels these sacred fires, Ash becomes a bridge between beast and human, earth and spirit. The smoke binds the tribe to its past. It carries the memory of ancestors and the breath of old rituals. Young boys, newly scarred by manhood rites, lie closest to the flames, letting the smoke seal their wounds and silence their fear. The fire is their second initiation acquired, burning baptism that leaves no scars, only scent. Insects flee from the smoke, but the Dinka remain. The heat doesn't drive them away, it anchors them. In the soft crackle of coals, they find protection. In the rising ash, they find their scent, one not sold in bottles, but born from sacrifice and belief. And while smoke marks the sacred, the body still holds value, but not always its own. In Dinka society, worth is measured in livestock, and for the women of the tribe, that worth is counted not in scars or ash but in cows, and the price of a bride will not be love, it will be cattle. In the eyes of the Dinka, a woman's worth is not spoken in compliments, it is counted in cattle. The birth of a daughter is both a blessing and a future transaction from the moment she walks. Her value begins to rise not for what she becomes, but for what she can bring. By the time she reaches her teens, she may already have a price. Marriage in Dinka culture is not a union of romance, but a negotiation of livestock. A dowry can reach 100, even 200 cows, depending on the girl's beauty, her family's status, and her perceived fertility. Each cow is a symbol of honor, an offering from one lineage to another. But beneath the ceremonial pride lies a quiet transaction, womanhood turned into currency. Girls are often married young, some barely past childhood. Their voices matter little in the negotiations. Fathers and uncles lead the discussions, weighing prestige against cattle weight. A girl's body becomes a future contract, her fertility the unspoken expectation that fuels the exchange. Her life, her womb, her labor, all bundled into the price of livestock. To give birth to many daughters is seen as wealth. The more girls in a family, the more cattle that will one day rive. And yet, these same daughters must leave their homes behind, joining the husband's family with no guarantee of happiness, only obligation. The cows received in dowry elevate the groom's status and restore the bride's father's honor. The animals are paraded, celebrated, and counted, like sacred trophies. Meanwhile, the bride steps into a role she did not choose, defined not by who she is, but by how many cows she was worth. There is pride in the system, but also silence. The kind of silence that grows when worth is measured in hooves and horns instead of dreams and voice. Still, within this structure, the Dinka finds stability. The exchange of cattle sustains alliances, heals tribal tensions, and binds families across generations. But it also binds girls to fates beyond their reach, and in a world where cows define wealth and women, not all births are welcomed. For when fate is feared and luck runs thin, the Dinka turn to a darker logic, one shaped by spirits, curses, and the unclean shadow of death. To the Dinka, death does not end a life, it lingers. Spirits are not laid to rest, but walk among the living, watching, judging, punishing. When misfortune strikes, it is rarely seen as chance. It is the work of the cursed, the angry dead, or children born beneath a sky that never wanted them, babies who arrive under unlucky stars during eclipses, storms, or after a sibling's death are believed to carry spiritual danger. Some are hidden, some are abandoned, others are banished before they can walk. It is not hatred, but fear that one child could doom a family, that a cursed birth could poison the cattle. Sick in the tribe, or call drought upon the land, illness, too, is not seen as biological, it is spiritual rebellion. The ancestors are angry, the dead are restless. Healing is not found in medicine, but in ritual. Sick children are isolated from the others, elders whisper over their bodies, animals are sacrificed. Their blood offered to spirits in hopes of mercy, if healing comes. It is credited to the ancestors. If it does not, the blame falls on hidden curses. Even grief must be handled carefully. A funeral done poorly can offend the dead. A forgotten name can draw back the spirit in vengeance. The Dinka build their lives not just round the living but round the unpredictable moods of the beyond. Spiritual balance must be maintained, or the tribe suffers. Every child, every illness, every death is measured not in flesh but in omen. And when the curse cannot be lifted, exile becomes the only answer. But while spirits haunt the living must still face the world outside. A world that now threatens these rituals, questions their beliefs, and forces the Dinka to choose between identity and survival. The world beyond the savannah is closing in. Concrete replaces clay. Laws replace law, and in this shifting landscape, the Dinka face a quiet war between tradition and transformation. International voices have begun to condemn the very rituals that shape Dinka identity. Human rights groups call the forehead scarring cruel. Child marriages are labeled violations, blood-drinking ceremonies are deemed dangerous, and ancestral practices, once sacred, are framed as superstition under foreign eyes. Schools, churches, and government programs push for change. Some Dinka youth now grow up with phones in hand, not ash on their skin. Girls whisper about education instead of dowries. Boys skip scarification, fearing rejection in modern cities. But behind this movement, forward lies a silent fear. If these customs vanish, what remains of the Dinka? For many elders, tradition is not optional, it is survival. Without it, the tribe dissolves into anonymity. To let go of ritual is to forget who they are. So some practices are pushed underground. Scar rituals are done in secret. Spirit appeasements happen at night. Beliefs are whispered, not shouted. Others adapt. Families compromise, delaying marriages, softening rites, blending old ways with modern demands. Change, when it comes, is quiet, cautious, and painful. Still, the scars remain on foreheads, on history, on the invisible border between belief and judgment. The Dinka are not vanishing, but they are shape-shifting, caught between two worlds that rarely understand each other. What began as a culture carved in blood, ash, and cattle now faces the fire of modern scrutiny. And yet, within every ritual questioned, there remains one truth. Identity, once forged, is not easily erased. Not by law, not by time, and not even by the eyes of a world that was never meant to see. The Dogon tribe, secrets, sacrifices, and the stars they shouldn't have known long before the invention of telescopes or modern astronomy. The Dogon people of Mali spoke of a star invisible to the human eye. This was no ordinary tale passed down in myth or legend. It was a detailed account of Sirius B, a tiny, dense white dwarf star orbiting the bright Sirius in the night sky. Western science would not confirm its existence until the 20th century. Yet the Dogon had described it centuries earlier with astonishing accuracy. Their knowledge extended beyond mere astronomy. It was woven deeply into their rituals, beliefs, and understanding of the universe. The Dogon stories tell of celestial beings known as the Namo, mysterious figures said to have descended from the stars. These beings brought knowledge of agriculture, language, and cosmic order, shaping the tribe's entire worldview. Ritual masks, often grotesque and towering, serve as vessels to channel the power of these star spirits. During ceremonies, dances embody the Namo, moving with wild energy that seems to echo the chaos and harmony of the cosmos itself. Passing this sacred knowledge is no simple matter. Only a select few are initiated into the mysteries of the stars. The initiation process is strict and secretive. guarding the tribe's ancient wisdom against outsiders. This knowledge is considered powerful, a cosmic link to origins beyond Earth, hinting at contact with beings from another world or time. The Dogon believe that the universe is alive, pulsing with unseen forces, and that understanding these forces is key to life and death. This mysterious connection to the stars sets the Dogon apart. Inviting and disbelief, it challenges assumptions about ancient people's knowledge and raises unsettling questions about how this information was gained. Was it a gift, a warning, or something else altogether? The tribe's cosmic rituals are a reminder that their universe is not silent. It remembers and responds. Beyond their star knowledge lies an even darker world of rites and beliefs. Initiations that test flesh and spirit, dances that frighten both the living and the dead, and punishments designed to maintain a fragile balance. Each secret shared here draws deeper into the strange and powerful heart of the Dogon people, where cosmic wonder meets human fear. For Dogon boys, becoming a man is not marked by celebration or simple rites. It is forged through isolation, pain, and profound transformation. The initiation ritual stretches over months, a grueling journey into the unknown that strips away childhood and demands absolute obedience. Once chosen, boys are severed from their families and the world they know, thrust into remote, hidden places where silence and secrecy reign. At the heart of this rite is circumcision, a violent act performed without anesthesia, meant to mark the body forever. The pain is brutal, a test of endurance meant to prove strength and submission to the tribe's ancient laws. But the physical suffering is only the beginning, cut off from contact. The boys face spiritual isolation, forced to confront fears and visions alone. They are taught harsh lessons, loyalty above self, silence as power, and the weight of ancestral eyes watching every move. This isolation serves as a crucible for transformation, stripping away weakness and forging a new identity bound to the tribe's cosmic order. The psychological toll is immense. Some never fully recover from the trauma, their minds haunted by the harshness of the ordeal. Others carry invisible scars, guilt, fear, and the crushing burden of expectations that shape their entire lives. Rebellion or failure is not tolerated. A boy who refuses to endure is condemned not only by the tribe but by the spirits of his ancestors. This disgrace is believed to follow him forever, casting a shadow over his family and future generations. The fear of this spiritual curse keeps the initiates in line, binding them tightly to tradition. In this brutal rite, the tribe ensures that knowledge and loyalty pass only through the strongest, willing to suffer for the sacred truths they guard. This painful passage is both a rite of survival and a harsh warning. The cosmic order demands obedience, even at the cost of a boy's innocence. From this isolation and pain emerges a new man, ready to face the tribe's darker ceremonies. The terrifying dances where mask and spirit collide in a struggle for a balance and survival. In the heart of Dogon funeral rites, massive masks loom like ancient guardians, some towering nearly 10 feet tall, crafted with distorted faces, twisted features, and limbs stretched beyond human limits. These masks are not mere decorations. They are powerful talismans designed to confront death itself. The dancers who wear them become vessels of spirits, channeling forces that blur the line between the living and the dead. The dancers are wild and relentless. Movements jerk and pulse with sudden bursts of energy, creating a chaotic rhythm meant to disorient and overwhelm. Every step and twist is calculated to confuse wandering spirits and repel dark forces that might linger among the living. The cacophony of drums and the sharp clash of woodwind clappers punctuate the air, amplifying the tension between the seen and the unseen. For the Dogon, death is not a peaceful passage. The dead's souls are restless, and the masked dances serve as a fierce barrier, preventing them from returning to haunt the village. Each mask represents a spirit or ancestor with its own distinct power and purpose. The towering figures can intimidate both human spectators and malevolent spirits, creating a terrifying spectacle that blurs the line between ceremony and exorcism. The dancers' faces remain hidden behind these unsettling visages, their identities swallowed by the mask's grotesque forms. This anonymity transforms them into something otherworldly forces summoned to maintain cosmic order. The atmosphere becomes thick with fear and awe. As the community watches the ritual that is as much about survival as it is about remembrance, these terrifying dances reveal the tribe's deep fear of death and the unknown. They show how the Dogon battles spiritual chaos with spectacle, protecting their world through ancient, disturbing traditions. Yet, beyond these dances lies a darker belief, one tied to the delicate balance of life and death that governs the tribe's fate. In Dogon culture, twins are far more than just siblings. They embody the perfect balance of nature itself. Born as a pair, twins symbolize harmony, unity, and the continuation of cosmic order. Their existence is sacred, tied closely to the tribe's deepest beliefs about life, death, and the universe. To lose one twin or to have a single child born alone is to disrupt this delicate balance, unleashing a curse that haunts not only the individual but the entire family. When one twin dies, it is not seen as a simple tragedy. The loss is a rupture in the spiritual fabric that binds the community and the cosmos. Families are plunged into crisis, forced to confront a burden heavier than grief, the need to restore harmony. Special offerings, often elaborate and costly, must be made to appease the spirits and heal the invisible wound left by the missing twin. These rituals are more than tradition. They are desperate attempts to prevent the curse from spreading. This curse is believed to bring misfortune, illness, and death to those who fail to act. It is a shadow that stretches over generations, a spiritual debt passed down like an unseen chain. To escape its grasp, some family members undergo banishment, cast out temporarily to remote places. This exile is not punishment, but a cleansing, a way to purify the bloodline and rid it of corruption. The weight of this curse shapes the lives of many within the tribe. It influences marriages, births, and social standing. Those touched by the curse live with an ever-present tension, a fear that the cosmic balance they rely on might slip forever into chaos. For the Dogon, the fate of twins is a living reminder of how fragile and intertwined their world truly is. This obsession with balance extends beyond birth and death, reaching into the very words spoken by the tribe's priests. Words so sacred that they carry power over spirits and fate itself. Within the Dogon tribe, language is more than communication, it is power. Deep within their sacred traditions, certain words hold a force beyond mere meaning. These forbidden words, known only to the Hagen, the tribe's revered high priest, are believed to command the spirits that surround and influence every part of life. To speak them is to hold sway over unseen forces, the wind, the rain, the souls of the dead, and even the fate of the tribe itself. The Hagen is the sole guardian of this secret language, entrusted with knowledge passed down through generations in whispered ceremonies. This role is sacred and terrifying, for the power these words carry can heal or destroy. The Hagen uses them cautiously, in rituals meant to maintain the fragile balance between the living world and the spiritual realm. Every syllable spoken carries weight, resonating with energies that few can comprehend. For the rest of the tribe, uttering these words is forbidden, a dangerous transgression that threatens to unleash chaos. Those who violate this taboo face brutal punishments. A silence ritual may be enforced, where the offender is forced into total speechlessness, severing social bonds and isolating them in spiritual limbo. Social exile follows, cutting individuals off from the community that defines their very existence. In the gravest cases, death under tribal law is the final sentence. A stark reminder that knowledge in Dogon culture is a weapon wielded only by the worthy. This system of control is rooted in fear of misuse, fear of upsetting the cosmic order, and fear of spiritual revenge. The Forbidden Woods act as gatekeeper between worlds, a barrier that protects the tribe from the unknown horrors that lie beyond human understanding. The secrecy surrounding these words keeps the tribe bound to its ancient truths, but also shrouds it in mystery and suspicion. Power in the Dogon world is a double-edged sword. The Hogon's knowledge comes with isolation, immense responsibility, and constant danger. It is a reminder that some truths are too potent for many, and that the boundary between wisdom and destruction is razor-thin. The weight of these sacred words echoes in every tribe ritual, shaping their relationship with life and death. This delicate balance becomes most evident in the rituals that follow a death, rituals that challenge courage and test the limits of human survival. When death arrives in a Dogon village, the entire community trembles under the weight of ancient obligation. The passing of a man is not just an end. It is the beginning of a harrowing ritual that can stretch for days, testing the courage and faith of all involved. The body must be placed in a tomb carved high into sheer cliff faces, a final resting place as precarious as the life just ended. No tools are allowed for this sacred task. Instead, young men, strong and fearless, are chosen to climb the dizzying heights using only their hands and feet. Their journey is a dangerous dance with death. A single slip or falter means falling into the abyss below, becoming a casualty alongside the departed. This perilous ascent is both an act of respect and a test of worthiness, a physical offering to the spirits that watch silently from above. The ritual carries a simple but terrifying belief. If the body is not properly placed in its tomb, the soul will never find peace. It will linger, restless and vengeful, haunting the land and tormenting the living. The village's safety depends on the success of this rite. It is a fight to send the dead away and keep the invisible balance between worlds intact. In the shadow of these cliffs, the living face their mortality with raw fear and unshakable duty. Each death is a reminder that life is fragile, and the veil between this world and the next is thin. For the Dogon, honoring the dead is not just tradition. It is survival. This struggle with life, death, and the unseen powers shapes every aspect of Dogon belief. But at the core lies a force both feared and revered, the alien gods who once came from the stars and still watch over their fate. The final chapter will uncover the cosmic origins that continue to shape the Dogon's world. The Dogon's connection to the stars is not just ancient history. It lives in the presence of beings known as the Namu. These fish-like entities are said to have descended from the heavens long ago, bringing with them knowledge that shaped the very foundation of the tribe's existence. Agriculture, language, ceremonies, all were gifts from these celestial teachers, whose influence still echoes in Dogon life today. To outsiders, the Namu may seem like myth or legend, but for the Dogon, they are real and ever watchful. Their presence is felt in secret ceremonies held far from prying eyes, where the tribe honors the cosmic ancestors who guide their fate. These rituals bind the Dogon to a universe alive with memory and meaning, a universe that does not forget those who listen. The Namu embody the mysterious link between Earth and the stars, between the seen and the unseen. They are a reminder that the Dogon live under the gaze of forces far greater than themselves, forces that demand respect and obedience. This ancient belief shapes everything, from daily life to the most sacred rites. From birth to death, for the Dogon, the cosmos is a living, breathing presence, filled with secrets and power. Their story challenges modern understanding, inviting fear and wonder, the tribe's rituals, their fears. And their knowledge all spring from this profound, cosmic bond, a bond that remains unbroken, whispered across generations and etched into the very fabric of their world. Etruscan cults, secrets of ancient Italy's darkest rituals before the rise of Rome. The Etruscans ruled the lands of central Italy, an ancient civilization wrapped in mystery and power. Their cities thrived with lavish art, grand temples, and secret societies, shaping a world where the line between life and death blurred into shadow and ritual. To outsiders, the Etruscans were both admired and feared, for their customs often danced on the edge of the bizarre and the unsettling. At the heart of Etruscan culture was a deep obsession with death and the afterlife. They believed that the spirits of the dead moved through dark, hidden realms, guided by cryptic signs and sacred rites. Tombs were not mere resting places, but carefully constructed gateways, filled with haunting murals and strange symbols meant to protect souls on their journey beyond. Life and death intertwined in a cycle of power, where the secrets of the beyond were guarded fiercely by shadowy cults. These cults wielded influence far beyond the temples, behind closed doors. Priests and nobles performed rituals so strange they unsettled even Rome's founders. Blood offerings, fiery ceremonies, and eerie divinations created an atmosphere where control was held through fear of the unknown. Power was not just political, it was spiritual. Buried deep within rites that touched the very soul of their civilization, Etruscan rituals hinted at a world beyond comprehension, where fate was carved in bones and whispers of gods echoed in the dark. This blend of art, belief, and terror formed the backbone of a civilization lost to time, but never forgotten. The secrets they left behind speak of a people who lived on the edge of the visible world, masters of a dangerous power few dared to challenge as the shadows of their rituals unfolded. One truth remained clear. The Etruscans held the key to ancient Italy's darkest mysteries that would ripple through history and shape the very soul of the Mediterranean world. This power was both their greatest strength and their deepest curse, setting the stage for rituals that would shock and haunt for centuries to come. In the world of the Etruscans, sacrifice was not merely tradition, it was a fierce and urgent language spoken to the gods through blood and flame. These rituals demanded offerings that tested the limits of human fear and devotion, blending the sacred with the savage in ways that unsettled even their neighbors. Animal sacrifices were common, but the true horror lay in the rare and chilling moments when human lives were called upon to feed the dark hunger of their gods. Sacrificial ceremonies often took place beneath the flickering light of roaring fires. Flames danced wildly, casting long shadows on stone altars stained deep red. The crackle of burning wood mingled with ritual chants that echoed through the night air. As priests prepared victims to be offered, these acts were believed to purify the community, washing away disease, misfortune, and the wrath of unseen spirits. Each drop of blood spilled was a desperate plea for protection, for rain, for victory in battle. Human sacrifice, though less frequent, was a terrifying reality. Captives, criminals, or sometimes even chosen members of the tribe faced this ultimate fate, seen as necessary to maintain cosmic balance. The ritual killing was more than punishment, it was a bridge to the divine. Blood was a powerful force thought to energize the gods and renew the earth itself. The intensity of these sacrifices revealed a culture willing to embrace darkness to secure survival. The terrifying weight of these rites extended beyond the altar. Witnesses spoke of trance-like states induced by smoke and chanting, as if the boundary between this world and the next dissolved. The Etruscans believed such offerings held the power to influence fate itself, their very existence dependent on the gods' favor. To refuse or fail these rites risked devastating consequences, from plague to famine. These sacrifices shaped the identity of the Etruscan people, binding them in a shared fear and reverence that demanded the highest price. Blood and fire were intertwined in a brutal covenant, one that demanded obedience and rewarded survival. This dark devotion left a mark on history, revealing a civilization unafraid to walk the razor's edge between life and death, all in the relentless service of their gods. The Etruscans viewed death not as an end, but as a passage into a mysterious and dangerous realm. Their obsession with the afterlife was expressed in funerary customs that were as strange as they. While haunting, tombs became elaborate worlds unto themselves, dark chambers filled with eerie art, cryptic symbols and objects meant to guide and protect souls on their perilous journey beyond. Inside these underground vaults, walls came alive with vivid paintings, scenes of shadowy figures navigating rivers of the underworld, strange beasts guarding secret gates, and spirits entwined in eternal struggles covered every surface. These macabre images were more than decoration. They were warnings and instructions for the dead, revealing a vision of the afterlife filled with peril and judgment. The living believed that the soul's survival depended on understanding and respecting these signs. The fear of the unknown extended to the physical contents of the tombs. Some burials included live attendants or servants, believed necessary to serve the deceased in the next world. Others sacrificed animals, dogs, horses, or birds to accompany the dead, ensuring protection and company in isolation. These sacrifices were meant to guarantee the deceased's status and safety, reflecting a belief that the afterlife mirrored earthly hierarchies and dangers. Strange symbols carved into tombs acted as spiritual armor, talismans and inscriptions, guarded against malevolent forces, curses, and restless spirits. This careful protection showed the Etruscans' deep anxiety about death's power to trap or punish souls that failed to meet divine expectations. The boundary between life and death was fragile, guarded by rituals meant to control what lay beyond. These burial rites exposed a culture gripped by both reverence and terror, a civilization that invested had great resources to prepare for a world no one could return from. Their tombs were not silent resting places, but vibrant reminders of life's fragility and death's omnipresence. The secrets hidden beneath the earth still whisper of ancient fears and a desperate hope to tame the unknown, setting the stage for rituals that sought to command fate itself. Etruscan priests held a terrifying power, the ability to read the will of the gods through dark hand. Mysterious signs, their methods of divination were chilling and complex, reaching deep into the shadows where fate was said to be written, animal entrails, the flight of birds, and even patterns of spilled blood became sacred texts, revealing messages that shaped the destiny of entire cities. One of the most feared rituals was the inspection of sacrificed animals' entrails. The priests would carefully examine the liver, lungs, and heart, searching for unusual marks, shapes, or colors. These internal organs were believed to be a direct map of divine intentions, and any imperfection was a warning of disaster. A blotch on the liver might signal war, while a strange shape could foretell famine or plague. Such readings held absolute authority, their accuracy rarely questioned. Bird flight offered another eerie source of prophecy. Priests observed the way birds soared, dipped, or circled, interpreting each movement as a coded message from the gods. The direction and behavior of these creatures during sacred ceremonies guided decisions on when to march into battle or sign peace treaties. This ancient form of augury cast a long shadow over politics and warfare, binding leaders to the will of unseen forces. Blood, spilled in sacrifice or battle, was read with equal reverence. The patterns of its flow, the color, and the way it soaked into the earth became signs of favor or wrath. Blood was life's essence and held a powerful connection to the divine. To the Etruscans, Deciphering these signals was more than superstition, it was a vital tool of control and survival. The secrecy surrounding these rituals amplified their power. Only a select few understood the complex symbols and meanings, giving Etruscan priests immense influence over rulers and people alike. Their chilling methods were so potent that Roman religion adopted many of these practices, weaving Etruscan divination into the very fabric of their empire's beliefs. This dark art of reading fate ensured the Etruscans' legacy endured, hidden beneath the surface of history, but never forgotten. In Etruscan society, justice was swift, harsh, and often terrifying, a brutal tool used to maintain order and control. Punishments were not hidden away but carried out openly, designed to instill fear and obedience among the people. Crime was met with severe consequences, ranging from mutilation to exile. Each penalty carefully chosen to uphold a rigid social hierarchy. Mutilation was a common punishment, a physical mark of guilt meant to shame and weaken the offender. Fingers were severed, tongues cut out, or eyes blinded, leaving permanent scars that broadcasted transgression to the community. These acts went beyond mere retribution. They served as warnings, a public display of the power wielded by both rulers and the gods they served. Exile was another fate, banishment from the tribe meant isolation from everything familiar, a sentence often equated with a living death. Without the tribe's protection, survival was nearly impossible. Such punishment reinforced the idea that harmony depended on every member obeying strict rules. The community's balance was fragile, and justice acted as the divine force restoring it. These punishments reflected the Etruscans' belief in cosmic balance and divine law. Justice was not simply human-made, but an extension of the gods' will, demanding both respect and fear. The severity of penalties underscored a culture where power was maintained through control of both body and spirit. In this way, punishment was more than enforcement, it was a ritual of dominance, the clear message that the tribe's mysterious and intimidating order could not be challenged without dire consequences. This harsh justice shaped not only daily life, but the very soul of the Etruscan civilization, weaving fear and reverence into the fabric of their existence. The shadows cast by the Etruscan cults stretched far beyond their time, seeping into the very heart of ancient Italy's future. As Rome rose to power, it absorbed much more than territory. It inherited a web of secret rituals, dark beliefs, and spiritual practices that had once defined the Etruscans. These hidden traditions became the foundation of Rome's own religious and cultural identity, quietly shaping the empire's darkest corners. Many of the eerie rites, the blood sacrifices, mysterious divinations, and strict codes of justice found new life within Roman ceremonies. Priests and rulers alike adopted these practices, recognizing their power to control both fate and the masses. The terrifying grip the Etruscan cults held over life and death was transformed, but never fully abandoned, leaving Rome's religion tinged with ancient fear and reverence for the unseen. This legacy reveals the Etruscans as more than a forgotten people. They were guardians of a spiritual underworld that bridged life, death, and power in unsettling ways. Their influence echoes in the myths, omens, and rites that continued to command respect and dread for centuries. Beneath the grandeur of Rome lies the persistent whisper of Etruscan shadows, a reminder of a civilization that dared to confront the darkest forces and control them. Their role as keepers of some of the most disturbing and powerful spiritual traditions marks the Etruscans as a mysterious force in history, one whose secrets still ripple through time, challenging the boundaries of belief and the depths of human fear. This dark inheritance invites deeper exploration into rituals that shape not only a tribe but the very soul of an empire. Fang tribe, the dark rituals and deadly customs of Central Africa's most feared people. Fang tribe lives in the dense rainforests of Central Africa, a place where shadows move like whispers and the boundary between the living and the spirit. World feels fragile. Their customs are not just traditions, they are the heartbeat of their existence, echoing through generations with a weight that outsiders struggle to grasp. From birth, each Fang member is bound by unyielding rules that govern everything from family loyalty to the sacred balance between life and death. At the core of Fang culture lies a fierce belief in the supernatural. Spirits of ancestors are not distant memories but active forces shaping daily life. These spirits demand respect and obedience, punishing those who stray from the tribe's strict codes with curses or exile. To break Fang law is to invite disaster not only on oneself, but on the entire community. This intertwining of fear and reverence creates a world where loyalty is survival, and defiance can mean death. The tribe's secrets are guarded fiercely, passed only through careful initiation. Their elders hold knowledge that binds the spiritual and the physical, a blend of power and terror. These ancient rites have preserved Fang identity through centuries of outside threats, keeping their traditions alive despite the encroaching modern world. For the Fang, every ritual, every punishment, is a thread in a tapestry woven from respect, fear, and the unbreakable link to ancestors who watch over their people in this shadowed world. The line between justice and cruelty blurs, and the tribe's harshest punishments echo a belief that order can only come through pain. This delicate balance between power and fear sets the stage for the Fang's brutal rites of passage where pain and endurance become a test of spirit and belonging. The tribe's darkest ceremonies are not merely traditions, but trials that mark the passage into adulthood and the embrace of their ancestral power. From these terrifying foundations rise the Fang's secret societies, where masks hide the faces of men and spirits walk among the living. The journey from childhood to adulthood within the Fang tribe is not marked by simple celebrations, but by a brutal rite that tests every fiber of a young person's being. This initiation is a passage steeped in darkness, pain, and transformation, a trial designed to break down the old self and rebuild a warrior bound to the tribe's deepest spiritual roots. Far from a gentle welcome, it is a harrowing journey into the unknown, where endurance becomes survival and fear must be crushed beneath an yielding will. The initiation begins with isolation, where initiates are taken deep into the forest, cut off from family and familiar comforts. In this silence, the weight of ancestral spirits feels heavier, and the young face the terrifying reality of leaving childhood behind. Their bodies become canvases for pain and symbolism, scars carved with sharp tools, marks that tell stories of strength, loyalty, and sacrifice. Each wound is more than physical. It is a binding contract, a permanent link to the tribe's power and history. But the trial is not only about pain. It is a symbolic death, where the initiate's old identity is stripped away. They enter a liminal space between worlds, believed to be closer to the ancestors. Here, whispered chants and the haunting rhythm of drums fill the air, surrounding them with the presence of spirits both protective and demanding. This spiritual connection is vital. Only through it can the initiate truly become a Fang, inheriting the strength and secrets of those who came before. Endurance is tested not just by wounds, but by challenges that push the mind and soul. Hunger, exhaustion, and fear become companions on this journey. The mental scars often run deeper than the physical, shaping a resolve that will define the initiate's role within the tribe. Surviving these rites is proof of readiness, proof that the initiate can face death, pain, and the supernatural forces that govern Fang life without faltering. When the ordeal ends, the initiate returns changed, no longer a child, but a warrior, forged in fire and shadow. These scars and memories carry meaning beyond the body. They mark an unbreakable bond to the tribe's spiritual heritage and its often terrifying demands. This initiation is more than a passage. It is a resurrection into the harsh, Sacred world of the Fang, where every breath is a gift from ancestors. Watching close in the dark, from this crucible of pain and spirit, the Fang's secret societies rise keepers of masks and mysteries ready to welcome the newly forged into their shadow ranks. Hidden deep within Fang culture are secret societies that hold a power both feared and respected by all. These groups are more than social clubs, they are guardians of ancient knowledge, spiritual enforcers, and the ultimate arbiters of justice. Their influence reaches into every corner of the tribe's life, maintaining order through ceremonies wrapped in mysticism, fear, and art. To the Fang, these societies are living bridges between the human world and the realm of ancestors. Central to these secret groups are the masks, terrifying works of craftsmanship carved from wood and decorated with intricate patterns. Each mask carries meaning far beyond its physical form. They represent spirits, forces of nature, and ancestral guardians who guide and punish. When worn during ceremonies, these masks transform men into vessels of otherworldly power. The masked figures move with a deliberate, haunting grace, their presence enough to silence a crowd and command respect through sheer, chilling authority. These masked rituals serve many purposes. They call on ancestral spirits to protect the tribe, to judge the guilty, and to restore balance when disorder threatens. The ceremonies often take place at night, cloaked in shadows and illuminated by flickering fires, heightening their eerie, otherworldly effect. Only select members are allowed to witness or participate, their loyalty sworn to secrecy and obedience. Breaking this silence is met with severe consequences, for the secrets held within these societies are the backbone of Fang power. Fear is a tool wielded with precision. The societies enforce social discipline not just through punishment, but through an overwhelming presence that commands. The threat of spiritual wrath, carried by these masked enforcers, keeps the tribe in line. This combination of art, fear, and ritual is a language all Fang understand, a constant reminder that the ancestors watch, judge, and act through their chosen vessels. These societies also serve as schools of knowledge, teaching initiates the tribe's deepest mysteries, spiritual wisdom, medicine, and the laws that govern life and death. This hidden education ensures the tribe's survival and the continuity of its traditions, passed down only to those deemed worthy through these secretive groups. The Fang maintain a delicate balance between the visible world and the unseen, forces that govern it. From the power of masked spirits, the Fang's harsh justice system emerges where law and punishment become inseparable, and fear is the price of order. Within the Fang tribe, justice is not a matter of debate or mercy. It is swift, absolute, and often brutal. Crimes are seen as not only offenses against individuals, but as threats to the entire community's survival. The tribe's harsh punishments reflect a worldview where maintaining order means enforcing discipline, without hesitation, ensuring that the fragile balance between the living and the spirits remains unbroken. Every act of betrayal or disobedience carries a heavy price. Exile is one of the severest sentences, a punishment worse than death in many ways, to be cast out from the tribe is to lose connection to ancestors, community, and protection. The forest beyond the village becomes a vast, dangerous wilderness where survival is uncertain. Those banished face loneliness, starvation, and often violent death. This social death is designed to serve as a warning. Loyalty is not just expected, it is demanded, and betrayal means total isolation. Physical punishments are equally harsh. Mutilation is common, serving both as retribution and as a permanent mark of shame. Fingers may be cut off, tongue silenced, or limbs scarred, each injury a visible reminder of one's crime. These punishments transform the body into a living testament of wrongdoing, ensuring that the community never forgets the price of betrayal. The pain inflicted is not random, but deeply symbolic. meant to restore spiritual balance by punishing the offender's connection to the tribe and its ancestors. Death is reserved for the gravest offenses: murder, treason, or disrespect toward the spirits. Executions of public affairs, raw and unyielding, meant to reinforce fear and obedience. They are conducted with rituals that call on ancestral forces to witness and judge, making the punishment both a legal and spiritual cleansing. In the eyes of the Fang, such deaths restore harmony, purging the community of disruptive forces and reaffirming the sacred laws that govern life. The spectacle of punishment serves a deeper purpose beyond enforcing rules. It binds the tribe together through shared fear and respect. Witnessing these harsh consequences reinforces the power of tradition and ancestral judgment. It is a reminder that the tribe's survival depends on unwavering discipline and a strict moral order enforced by both men and spirits. This relentless justice system prepares the way for the Fang's spiritual beliefs, where curses and blessings flow from obedience or defiance, making clear that the tribe's laws extend beyond the physical world into the realm of the unseen. Invisible forces rule the lives of the Fang tribe, where spirits are as real and present as the trees surrounding the villages. These spirits are not distant myths, but active powers shaping every decision, every breath. The ancestors watch closely, rewarding those who honor their memory and punishing those who bring shame or disrespect to the Fang. Life is a constant negotiation with these unseen forces that hold the power to bless or destroy. Curses are among the most feared weapons in this spiritual realm. They can infect a person's health, ruin crops, or bring misfortune to entire families. The Fang believe that curses are often the result of broken taboos or grudges held by angry spirits. The weight of a curse can suffocate a person's life, twisting their fate in ways that seem impossible to escape. Fear of these invisible punishments keeps the tribe tightly bound to its traditions and rules. To counter these threats, elaborate rituals are performed regularly, ceremonies filled with chant, dance, and symbolic offerings. These acts serve to appease the spirits, seeking their protection and forgiveness. Masks representing ancestral beings are worn, believed to channel the spirit's power directly into the tribe. Through these rituals, the Fang maintain a fragile balance, hoping to keep curses at bay and ensure the tribe's survival. The spiritual world also governs justice, where the punishment of wrongdoers extends beyond the physical. A criminal might suffer not only exile or mutilation, but also a curse meant to follow them into darkness. This blending of the visible and invisible creates a system where law is enforced both by men and by spirits. Each punishment echoing with terrifying spiritual weight. This belief in the unseen shapes the Fang's identity, embedding fear, respect, and awe into every part of their culture. Their connection to the spirit world is a constant reminder that life is fragile and controlled by forces beyond human reach, forces that demand obedience, loyalty, and reverence. From these powerful beliefs emerge the Fang's most enduring legacy: a world where spirits walk among the living, and every action can tip the balance between blessing and doom, though the world outside grows louder with change. The Fang tribe's ancient customs endure, quietly woven into the fabric of daily life. Modern pressures, governments, technology, new religions press against their traditions, yet many of the Fang's darkest rituals remain protected beneath layers of secrecy. This hidden persistence reveals a people determined to hold on to their identity, even as the outside world threatens to erase it. The clash between old and new creates a fragile tension. Some rituals have softened or adapted, blending with modern life in subtle ways. Yet the core beliefs, the fear of spirits, the power of secret societies, and the severity of justice resist dilution. These practices survive because they are more than customs. They are lifelines to ancestors, anchors in a rapidly shifting world. Breaking with tradition is not simply rebellion, it is risking spiritual ruin and community fracture. This legacy of fear shapes the Fang's resilience. Their extreme rituals serve as a constant reminder of the tribe's history and the harsh rules that keep it alive. Elders pass down stories of initiation, punishment, and spiritual wrath, ensuring the next generation understands both the power and danger of their heritage, even as the forest around them changes. The shadows of Fang traditions stretch long, refusing to fade in this delicate balance between survival and transformation. The Fang tribe stands as a testament to the lasting force of ancient beliefs, proof that some fears and rituals are to ply-rooted to vanish, no matter the march of time. The tribe's story is not only about preservation, but about the fierce, often terrifying will to endure. From this living legacy of power and fear, the Fang continue to navigate a world where the past and present collide, holding onto their traditions while facing the uncertain future. Kuru and cannibalism, the shocking rituals of the Fur tribe in the dense, mist-covered highlands of Papua New Guinea. The Fur tribe thrived in isolation, untouched by the outside world for centuries. Their villages, hidden among thick forests and steep mountains, were woven tightly together by bonds of blood and tradition. The Fur spoke a language unlike any other, their words carrying the echoes of a history steeped in mystery and ancient belief. To outsiders, their ways seemed strange sometimes, even horrifying, because the Fur guarded their rituals closely, allowing only the tribe to understand the deep meaning behind their customs. Life in the Fur community revolved around family and respect for the ancestors, but this respect took forms that few could imagine. Their rituals, shrouded in secrecy, were powerful forces shaping every moment of existence. Some rites involved close contact with the dead, acts so extreme that early anthropologists struggled to comprehend them. The Fur believed that death was not an end, but a passage, and that the spirits of their loved ones could remain close if the right ceremonies were performed. These ceremonies were more than tradition. They were survival, woven into the very fabric of the tribe's identity. The Fur's remote location kept their practices hidden from the world for a long time. Their isolation was both a shield and a prison, preserving their unique culture while sealing them away from new ideas and medical knowledge. It was within this fragile balance that some of their most disturbing customs took root. Rituals that involved consuming the bodies of the dead, believed to honor and protect the spirit, would later shock the global community and transform scientific understanding of disease. This secluded tribe's customs reveal the complex ways culture and biology collide. The Fur story is a chilling reminder that rituals, born of love and respect, can sometimes unleash consequences far beyond what anyone could predict. As the world began to learn of the Fur, the shadow of their practices would stretch far beyond their jungle home, changing everything known about human disease and death. From these hidden mountains and sacred rites would emerge a disease so terrifying it would forever alter the Fur tribe's future and the world's understanding of the human body. Among the Fur, death did not mean farewell. Instead, it marked a sacred transformation, one that called for a ritual unlike any other: the consumption of the dead. Endocannibalism, the practice of eating the flesh of deceased relatives, was more than a taboo or a fearsome act. For the Fur, it was a profound expression of love, loyalty, and spiritual connection. To eat the body of a loved one was to honor them, to keep their spirit alive, and to protect the community from the loss that death threatened to bring. This ritual was carefully performed within the village, carried out by women and children, who saw themselves as guardians of the soul. The body was not treated with disrespect, but with sacred care, every bite an act of remembrance and reverence. The Fur believed that consuming the flesh released the spirit gently into the afterlife, while preventing it from wandering lost or seeking vengeance. This belief made the ritual a cornerstone of their cultural identity, binding each generation to the last in a chain of eternal kinship. Yet, Beneath this devotion lurked a hidden danger. The very act meant to preserve life and community sound, the seeds of death, unknown to the four. Their ritual opened the door to a fatal disease, one that would creep silently through the tribe, striking without warning and destroying bodies from within. The disease preyed on the brain, causing uncontrollable tremors, paralysis, and eventual collapse. It was a sickness that baffled scientists for decades. Until its link to ritual cannibalism was uncovered, the spread of this illness later named. Cure was devastating. Entire families were decimated, and fear began to grow alongside sorrow. The forced sacred practice, once the source of strength and unity, became a grim vector for tragedy. The tribe's deep respect for death and the afterlife had unknowingly unleashed a lethal epidemic, one that challenged both their beliefs and their survival, despite the risks. The ritual remained a vital part of her life for many years. It was a powerful example of how cultural traditions, even those rooted in love and respect, can have unforeseen consequences. The Four's story reveals the delicate balance between faith, survival, and the hidden threats woven into ancient practices. The ritual of consuming the dead was not simply a custom, it was a lifeline to the past. A desperate attempt to hold onto the spirits that gave the tribe meaning. Yet, as the disease spread, it forced the Four to confront a terrifying question. How much of tradition can survive when it becomes a threat to life itself? This painful conflict would soon lead to dramatic changes and painful losses, as the tribe struggled to break free from the cycle of death hidden within their most sacred ritual. The silent killer emerged from the heart of the Four tribe's sacred rituals. A disease unlike any seen before. Named Cure, meaning trembling with fear in the Four language, this fatal brain disorder spread through the community with terrifying speed at first. It began with subtle signs, uncontrollable shivers, loss of balance, and a trembling that no medicine could hold. But soon, Cure gripped its victims with an unstoppable force, stealing their ability to walk, speak, and even swallow. Death followed inevitably, leaving families shattered and villages gripped by fear. The symptoms of Cure were both bizarre and heartbreaking. Victims convulsed violently, their muscles wasting away as their minds slipped into confusion and despair. The disease tore through generations, often striking women and children who took part in the ritual of consuming their dead. The Four people watched helplessly as loved ones transformed into shells of themselves, their bodies betraying them in the most brutal way. For years, scientists struggled to understand Cure. Its cause was a mystery wrapped in cultural complexity. Western medicine could not explain why this isolated tribe suffered from such a strange and deadly illness. It wasn't until researchers looked closer at the Four's customs that the terrifying connection became clear. Cure was passed through ritual cannibalism, eating the brains and tissues of the dead, particularly those infected with Cure, transmitted the disease, which was caused by prions, misfolded proteins that destroyed the brain's delicate structure. This revelation shocked the world. It exposed how deeply culture and biology could intertwine, showing that ancient beliefs and rituals could harbor invisible threats. The Four spiritual acts, meant to honor the dead, became the pathway for a deadly epidemic. Cure was a stark example of how the body could betray the mind's devotion to tradition. The disease also revealed a cruel irony. The very love and respect expressed through endocannibalism was the same force that spread devastation. Mothers who fed their deceased children to others to preserve their spirit unwittingly passed on a death sentence. The tribe's trust in their rituals was shattered by the relentless progression of Cure, forcing a painful reckoning with the limits of tradition. Despite the horror, the Four's story pushed science forward. The study of Cure opened new fields of research into prion diseases, influencing how medicine understood similar illnesses worldwide. It also highlighted the complex role of culture in health and disease, how ancient practices could In Makda, human body in ways modern science had never imagined. As Kyuru slowly claimed lives, the four people faced a heartbreaking choice: to cling to their sacred rituals and risk extinction, or to abandon traditions that defined their identity. This struggle marked the beginning of a profound transformation, a painful journey from isolation into a new world where ancient beliefs and modern knowledge collided. The devastating impact of Kyuru would soon force the four tribe to confront a future shaped by survival, loss, and the heavy cost of holding onto the past. In for society, justice was not simply a matter of laws or rules. It was a powerful force intertwined with spiritual belief. Even fear. The tribe's social order depended on strict punishments designed to keep peace and uphold traditions. Those accused of wrongdoing faced harsh consequences, often far more severe than outsiders might expect. Justice was swift and uncompromising, reflecting the tribe's conviction that breaking the rules could bring not only personal harm, but also the wrath of the spirits. Central, too, for justice was a deep belief in sorcery and supernatural powers. Many believed that sorcerers, or Sanguma, wielded dark magic capable of causing illness, misfortune, or even death. Accusations of sorcery were common and terrifying, often used to explain sudden illness or unexplained deaths. Those suspected of being sorcerers were subjected to brutal trials and punishments, which could include banishment, torture, or death. This fear of sorcery kept the community tightly controlled, as people lived in constant awareness that their actions might invite spiritual retaliation. Punishments were not only physical but also spiritual. The four believed that wrongdoers could suffer curses or be haunted by angry spirits if justice was not served. This belief created an invisible but powerful system of control, where fear of the supernatural was as strong as the fear of human consequences. It bound the tribe together under a shared sense of order and cosmic balance, even when the punishments themselves were harsh. The intense connection between law and belief made daily life a delicate balance. Everyone knew that their behavior affected not just themselves, but the entire community. The threat of punishment, both seen and unseen, reinforced the tribe's customs and maintained the strict social fabric that held the four together. Yet this system also bred suspicion and paranoia. Fear of sorcery could turn neighbor against neighbor, and accusations could spiral out of control. The line between justice and vengeance often blurred, adding layers of tension beneath the tribe's surface. The four's approach to justice reveals how ancient societies often blended law and spirituality, using belief as a tool to enforce order. In their world, punishment was more than physical. It was a battle for the soul of the community, where every action carried weight far beyond what appeared on the surface. This mix of fear, belief, and strict justice shaped the four's daily lives, preparing the tribe to face the harsh realities of survival in a world governed by both human laws and the power of spirits. The consequences of these beliefs would echo deeply in their struggles against the unseen forces that threatened their very existence. As the outside world slowly reached the remote forests of Papua New Guinea, the four tribe found themselves at a crossroads between ancient tradition and modern change. The arrival of missionaries, government officials, and medical experts brought new knowledge that challenged the very core of their most sacred practices, the dangerous rituals. Once unquestioned pillars of for life began to unravel under the weight of scientific understanding and external pressure. Modern medicine played a crucial role in ending the ritual of endocannibalism, which had fueled the deadly spread of Kyuru. Education about disease transmission and the discovery of prions forced the tribe to reconsider customs that had brought both meaning and destruction. Slowly, the four were guided away from consuming their dead, and with this shift, the number of Kyuru cases declined. Yet, abandoning such a deeply ingrained ritual was not simple. The four had lived with these customs for generations, They were intertwined with identity, grief, and the bonds of family. The scars left by these changes run deep for many. The loss of ritual meant losing a connection to ancestors and to the very heart of their culture. Elders struggled to pass down traditions that were now forbidden, while younger generations faced the challenge of navigating a world where old beliefs clashed with new realities. The Four story became one of survival not just of the body, but of culture itself, even today. The tribe wrestles with how to honor their past without falling into the dangers that once plagued them. Modernity offers tools for health and safety, but it also threatens to erase the rituals that shape their community's spirit. This delicate balance between preservation and change is a daily struggle, one that echoes in many indigenous communities around the world. The legacy of the Four's rituals is a haunting reminder of the cost of tradition when it collides with biological truth. It shows how cultural practices, no matter how sacred, can carry hidden risks with devastating consequences. Yet, it also speaks to resilience, the ability of a people to adapt, to learn, and to find new ways of honoring their history. The Four tribes' journey from isolation into the modern world is a testament to the complex power of tradition, a force that shapes identity, demands respect, and sometimes demands a painful price. Their story remains a cautionary tale, an enduring lesson about the fragility of life, the strength of belief, and the price paid when culture and disease collide. Guarani tribe, the shocking rituals and deadly beliefs hidden in the heart of the jungle, in the heart of the South American jungle. The Guarani tribe lives bound to the wild, their lives woven tightly with the pulse of the forest. Their world is a place where ancient power flows beneath the canopy, where every leaf, every shadow, and every whispered wind carries a story older than time. Known as fierce warriors and patient farmers, the Guarani hold a deep respect for nature's gifts, yet beneath this calm lies a culture marked by rituals and beliefs so intense they unsettle even the strong. On just minds to outsiders, the Guarani might seem like peaceful people, tending crops and sharing stories by firelight. But beneath this quiet surface exists a world ruled by strict codes of honor and justice, enforced through customs both sacred and terrifying. Their justice is not measured by courts or written laws, but by spiritual forces and ancestral demands. Punishments can be swift and brutal, often involving rites that blend physical pain with spiritual trial. The Guarani's bond with nature is more than survival, it is a sacred pact. Their shamans, seen as gatekeepers between the living and the spirit world, conduct ceremonies that blur the line between reality and the unknown. These rituals invoke ancestral spirits, calling forth powers that are as mysterious as they are feared. The forest is alive with unseen eyes, watching over every action, judging every word. Warriors among the Guarani are not simply fighters, they are chosen vessels of a timeless legacy. Their bravery is tested through ceremonies that push the body and soul to the brink, proving worthiness in the eyes of the tribe's spirits. These rites serve as passageways into adulthood, marked by trials that demand endurance beyond pain, and a courage that borders on the supernatural. Here, strength is more than muscle, it is a sacred energy passed from the ancestors through blood and spirit. In their villages, the shadows of the past mingle with the present. Stories tell of curses whispered in the night, of enemies punished, not only in life but in death by powers beyond human understanding. The Guarani live with the knowledge that their every act is watched, weighed, and answered by forces they cannot see but deeply believe in. This belief shapes every custom, every punishment, every sacred act, creating a culture both beautiful and brutal. The Guarani's world is a paradox rooted in peace yet shaped by the harshness of survival and the power of ancient mysteries. Their customs push the limits of human endurance and challenge the boundaries between life and death. To understand the Guarani is to glimpse a world where the spirit reigns, and where the darkest secrets are kept beneath the green veil of the jungle. From this delicate balance of nature, power, and fear emerges the rituals that define their existence, rituals that will reveal a reality stranger and more chilling than any outsider could imagine. Adulthood among the Guarani is not a simple passage marked by age, but a fierce transformation forged in blood and pain. The journey to manhood is sealed through brutal ceremonies that demand more than bravery. They require a willingness to embrace suffering as a sacred gateway. These rites of passage are not merely tests of the body, but rituals of the soul, designed to summon the power of ancestral spirits and claim their blessing for the young warrior's future. The initiation begins deep within the forest, far from the village's safety. Here, the air thickens with smoke and chants that echo like ancient thunder. Young men, stripped of comfort and certainty, face trials that push them to their breaking point. They endure searing burns, deep cuts, and relentless blows, each wound a symbol, each scar a mark of honor. Pain is not punishment, but a language spoken to the spirits, a way to show that the initiate is ready to carry the tribe's burdens. As the body falters, the mind sharpens. The initiates enter trance-like states, their senses heightened, their fears peeled away. It is said that in these moments, the boundary between the living and the dead thins, allowing ancestral spirits to step through and guide the boys toward manhood. These encounters are both terrifying and transformative, filled with visions that test courage and faith. Survival is never guaranteed, and the fear of death lingers close, making each heartbeat a battle. Among the Guarani, suffering holds a sacred meaning. It is through pain that strength is purified, through endurance that the soul is forged. This belief shapes every moment of the ritual, turning agony into a form of communion with the unseen forces that protect and judge the tribe. The scars left behind tell stories of survival and spiritual rebirth, connecting the new men forever to their ancestors and their land. These spirit fights are more than tradition. They are the crucible where identity is born. Only those who emerge from the trials alive and unbroken earn their place among the tribe's warriors. Their courage is honored not just for its physical demonstration, but for the spiritual power it commands. To the Guarani, this passage is a vital thread in the fabric of their existence, linking past, present, and future in a cycle of pain, power, and protection. This deadly rite reveals a worldview where life and death are intertwined, where the boundary between human and spirit blurs. It prepares the young not only for a battle, but for the harsh realities of a world governed by forces far beyond mortal control. The next step lies in understanding how this fierce discipline shapes the tribe's system of justice, where punishment carries its own spiritual weight. Justice within the Guarani tribe is a force as fierce and unforgiving as the jungle itself. It moves swiftly, wielding punishment not only to correct, but to instill deep-rooted fear that reaches beyond the physical and into the spiritual realm. The Guarani believe that breaking the tribe's laws invites not just earthly consequences, but the wrath of the Kari, dark spirits who punish wrongdoers long after their bodies have returned to the earth. Offenders are subjected to rituals designed to sever their connection with the community and the spirit world. These punishments often involve symbolic acts meant to isolate the soul markings that brand the guilty as outcasts, or ceremonies where their names are whispered only in fear and warning. Such rituals serve as spiritual exiles, condemning the offender to a life haunted by loneliness and despair. Exile is among the most dreaded punishments, cast out from the tribe. The condemned face the merciless jungle alone, stripped of protection and ancestral blessing. The forest, once a source of life, becomes a relentless enemy. Without the tribe's spiritual shield, the exiled are believed to be vulnerable not only to wild beasts, but to the Kari's eternal judgment. This banishment is both physical and metaphysical, a sentence that breaks body and soul, The Kari themselves are shrouded in dread and mystery. Said to dwell in shadows beyond the living world, these spirits act as guardians of justice, punishing sins with cruelty that surpasses human understanding. Their presence haunts the tribe's collective consciousness, a constant reminder that wrong actions ripple far beyond the moment of their commission. Fear of the Kari enforces strict moral codes that bind the Guarani tightly to their customs and laws. The knowledge that even death cannot shield a wrongdoer from punishment keeps the tribe disciplined and obedient. It is a justice system unlike any other, rooted not in laws written on paper, but carved into the very spirit of the people. This dark justice is a reflection of the tribe's intense connection to the spiritual world, where every act carries weight and every transgression invites consequences far beyond the physical. From here, the story of the Guarani's rituals deepens further, revealing a chilling practice where the boundaries between power, fear, and survival take on even stranger forms. Among the Guarani, the practice of consuming the flesh of enemies stands as one of the most shocking and misunderstood rituals. Far from a mere act of savagery, sacred cannibalism holds deep spiritual significance, a way to absorb the strength, courage, and life force of defeated foes. This ritual transcends physical hunger. It is a fierce declaration of survival and protection, binding the tribe together through shared power and ancestral respect. The act of eating enemy flesh is shrouded in rich symbolism. The Guarani believe that when a warrior consumes a foe's remains, the enemy's spirit does not die but lives on within them, lending their strength to the tribe's warriors. It is a form of spiritual alchemy, where flesh becomes a vessel for transferring courage, wisdom, and the fierce will to endure. Through this ritual, the tribe claims not only victory, but the continuation of power through generations. Far from casual or frequent, these ceremonies are solemn and carefully controlled. They take place within sacred spaces, surrounded by prayers and chants that call on ancestral guidance. The process is as much about honoring the fallen as it is about seizing their energy. Every bite echoes ancient beliefs that survival depends on absorbing the essence of those who once opposed them, turning potential threats into sources of protection. This ritual challenges modern perceptions of taboo. While many outside the tribe view cannibalism as horror, for the Guarani it is a profound expression of their worldview, a survival mechanism rooted in spiritual connection rather than cruelty. It reveals how deeply intertwined life, death, and power are within their culture, where boundaries blur between the physical body and the spirit. Anthropologists and historians debate the meaning and place of this practice in human history, often misunderstanding its spiritual core. To the Guarani, sacred cannibalism is not about desecration, but about continuity, respect, and the transformation of fear into strength. It is a vivid reminder that what seems monstrous to some may hold deep meaning to others, reflecting the complex ways humans have sought to master life's harshest realities. As this ritual unfolds, it reveals the tribe's broader beliefs about the spirit world, beliefs that will lead to a deeper understanding of the Guarani shamans, their otherworldly connections, and the mysterious forces that govern life in the jungle. At the heart of Guarani culture lies the shaman, a figure both revered and feared, standing as the vital link between the world of the living and the shadowy spirit realm. Shamans navigate the thin veil separating reality from the other world, using ancient rituals, sacred plants, and trance states to enter realms where ordinary senses fail. Their presence commands respect, for they wield powers that shape life, death, and everything in between. Through intense ceremonies, shamans summon ancestral spirits to seek guidance, healing, and protection. These rituals often involve the use of powerful hallucinogenic plants, which dissolve the boundaries of the physical world and open pathways to unseen forces. Within these altered states, shamans confront spirits that can bless the tribe or unleash destruction, mediating between forces that few dare to face. The shaman's role is multifaceted. They heal the sick by addressing not only physical ailments but spiritual imbalances believed to cause suffering. Their knowledge of herbs and ancient chants intertwines with mysticism, blending the natural with the supernatural. In moments of crisis, shamans become the tribe's protectors, calling on spirits to guard against enemies and curses. Yet, this power comes with a price. Shamans themselves risk losing their grip on reality, wandering dangerously close to the spirit worlds. Chaos, their connection to unseen forces, creates a delicate balance. Too much influence can invite madness or spiritual harm. For the Guarani, shamans embody the fragile boundary where the visible and invisible collide, a place where the tribe's fate often hangs in the balance. This sacred connection reveals a worldview where spirits walk alongside humans, and every act echoes in realms beyond sight. Understanding the shaman's role offers a window into the Guarani's deepest beliefs that transform their rituals into living conversations with the forces that govern life and death in the jungles. Shadow, from these spiritual depths emerges the enduring legacy of a people bound by mystery and survival today. The Guarani stand at a crossroads between ancient tradition and the relentless march of modern life. Their forelusts have shrunk, their world has changed, yet many of their old customs endure, still powerful, still charged with the weight of ancestral spirits and ancient fears. These rituals, once hidden deep in the jungle shadows, continue to shape their identity, serving as living links to a past that refuses to be forgotten. The tension between survival and change is woven into every aspect of Guarani life. While some have adopted new ways, others fiercely protect the sacred rites passed down through generations. These rituals are more than cultural relics. They are acts of resistance, vital expressions of spiritual strength that keep the tribe connected to the forces that once guarded them against death and despair. Despite the pressures of outside influence, the Guarani's beliefs about spirits, justice, and power remain deeply rooted. The fear of Kare lingers in whispered warnings. The memory of spirit fights and painful initiations echoes in the hearts of the young. Even sacred cannibalism, long shunned by the outside world, survives in memory as a symbol of unbreakable resilience and the tribe's fierce will to endure. This legacy is both haunting and hopeful. It reveals a people who refuse to be erased, who carry the shadows of their ancestors into a new world shaped by uncertainty. Their story is not just one of survival, but of a relentless connection to the mysteries that have defined them for centuries. The Guarani's journey reminds the world that ancient fears can persist beneath the surface of modern life, shaping identity and belief in ways that challenge understanding. It is a story of endurance, spiritual power, and the unyielding ties between the past and present, a story still unfolding beneath the canopy of the jungle they call home. Hadza tribe, secrets of the last hunter-gatherers and their shocking rituals. The Hadza tribe of Tanzania remains one of the last pure hunter-gatherer societies on the planet. A people whose lives pulse with the rhythms of the ancient. Wild, isolated from the march of modern civilization, their existence is carved from raw survival. Every day is a battle against the unforgiving land, a place where food is hunted, not bought. Water is sought, not taken for granted. The Hadza's world is one shaped by primal laws, ancient customs passed down through countless generations, stubbornly resisting change. Theirs is a life where every step echoes thousands of years of human history. Yet beneath this surface of natural simplicity lies something far darker, more unsettling. The Hadza's rituals and beliefs hold a mirror to humanity's past, reflecting brutal truths that many would rather forget. Their ways of marking life's milestones, administering justice, and interacting with the spirit world reveal customs that shock the modern mind, acts both extreme and deeply rooted in survival. In Hadza society, rites of passage are not gentle ceremonies but trials soaked in blood and pain, designed to forge unbreakable strength. The punishments for breaking community laws are swift and merciless, showing little tolerance for weakness or betrayal. The tribe's deep connection to the land is interwoven with spiritual beliefs that twist the familiar into something eerie and mysterious, where death is not the end but a threshold, and the unseen world is as real as the dusty earth beneath their feet. Every Hadza ritual tells a story of endurance, fear, and the harsh realities of life lived on nature's edge. These customs challenge modern ideas about civilization, pushing the boundaries of what is acceptable and forcing a confrontation with humanity's most ancient instincts. The Hadza live in a world where survival is not a given, but a prize earned through pain, courage, and respect for the old laws. This fragile balance between life, death, and tradition holds the Hadza tribe together, a society at once primitive and profoundly complex. Understanding their world means stepping into a realm where every action carries weight, where every belief protects the tribe's survival, and where the past bleeds into the present with unsettling clarity. What unfolds next is a journey deeper into the Hadza's darkest rites, where boyhood is shattered by blood and men are forged in fire. The path from innocence to adulthood is marked by a brutal trial, revealing the savage heart of this last true hunter-gatherer tribe. The journey from boyhood to manhood among the Hadza is far from gentle. It is a trial carved from pain, endurance, and ancient blood. When a boy reaches the edge of adulthood, he faces a ritual that strips away innocence and forges him into a hunter capable of surviving the brutal wilderness. This ceremony is as much a test of spirit as it is of flesh, a relentless challenge demanding total submission to customs that have remained unchanged for thousands of years. At the heart of this rite lies a terrifying ordeal of bloodletting. The young initiate is subjected to cuts and wounds, each one a painful reminder of the tribe's harsh realities. The blood spilled is not just a physical sacrifice, but a symbolic shedding of childhood. Endurance is paramount. The ability to withstand pain without yielding proves readiness to face the wild's relentless dangers. Each drop of blood spilled echoes with the tribe's unspoken warning. Weakness means death. Beyond physical suffering, the ritual demands mental fortitude. The boy must silence fear and doubt, embracing the brutal traditions that bind the tribe. His transformation is witnessed by elders, who judge his courage and resilience. Success grants him not only the status of man, but the responsibility to hunt, protect, and preserve the fragile balance between life and death in their unforgiving world. This rite is a brutal affirmation of identity, a passage that strips away modern softness and reveals humanity's primal core. It embodies the raw, unfiltered struggle for a survival that defines the Hadza way of life. The scars left behind are badges of honor, marking those who have faced pain and emerged ready to confront the wild. The blood and bone of this ancient ritual bind the tribe together, linking generations through shared suffering and unbreakable tradition. It is a savage baptism into the harsh realities of a world ruled by nature's law, a world where strength is survival, and survival is everything. From here, the path leads into the tribe's deeper secrets, the eerie, unsettling rituals surrounding death and the spirits beyond. Death among the Hadza is not a quiet farewell, but a hunting passage into a world where the living and the spirits intertwine in unsettling ways. Their funeral rites are steeped in mystery and fear, reflecting a raw understanding that death is both an end and a beginning, a force as powerful and unpredictable as the wild itself. These rituals reveal a tribe deeply connected to the spirit world, where honoring the dead carries an uneasy balance of respect and dread. Instead of simple burial, the Hadza engage in practices that challenge common ideas of mourning. Bodies may be left exposed to the elements or placed in trees, a stark reminder of nature's unforgiving cycle. This unorthodox approach reflects a belief that the dead must be offered back to the earth and sky, becoming part of the endless circle of life. But beneath this natural return lies a fear that the spirits of the departed linger, watching and influencing the living world. The ceremonies are charged with an eerie tension. As elders perform chants and rituals meant to calm restless souls and protect the tribe from unseen forces, the living stand at the edge of the invisible, caught between sorrow for their lost and terror of what may come. These moments are heavy with a mixture of grief and superstition, where every gesture holds meaning and every silence carries weight. Hadza beliefs do not separate death from the spiritual realm. They are woven together in a tapestry of fear and reverence. The spirits are not distant ancestors, but active presences whose anger or favor can shape the fate of the tribe. Funerals become not just acts of remembrance, but urgent negotiations with the unknown, a desperate effort to maintain harmony between two worlds. This connection to death echoes through the tribe's daily life, shaping behaviors, taboos, and even justice. It is a world where the boundary between life and spirit is thin, and crossing it is both sacred and terrifying. As the Hadza confront death's whisper, they prepare to enforce survival through harsh justice, a world where betrayal and weakness are met with swift, often brutal punishment. Justice among the Hadza is as raw and untamed as the land they inhabit, without written laws or formal courts. The tribe relies on a strict code of survival enforced through harsh, immediate punishment. Betrayal, theft, or disobedience are not seen merely as moral failings, but as threats to the entire community's existence. In a world where every resource is precious, any breach of trust can mean disaster, and the Hadza respond with swift, often brutal retribution. Punishments are carried out by elders or respected hunters who act as guardians of tradition and order. There is no room for mercy when the tribe's survival hangs in the balance. Those accused face consequences that can include physical beatings, exile, or worse. Pain and fear become tools to maintain discipline, to remind everyone that breaking the code risks not just the individual's life, but the fragile harmony of the group. The violence is not senseless cruelty, but a fierce protection of the tribe's delicate social fabric. Each punishment serves as a warning, a clear message that weakness, theft, or betrayal will not be tolerated. Forgiveness is a rare luxury, reserved for only the most exceptional circumstances, because the cost of leniency could be deadly. Revenge is deeply ingrained in this system, blurring the lines between justice and retaliation. Personal grudges often fuel punishments, adding layers of fear and tension to everyday life. Yet even in this harshness, the Hadza believe their way preserves balance, a balance essential to their survival in an unforgiving environment. This uncompromising justice reveals a society where strength and loyalty are everything. The rules may be unwritten, but they are enforced with a clarity that leaves no doubt. To belong to the Hadza means to live by the tribe's brutal law, or face exile from the only world they know. Beyond these punishments lie the hidden taboos and secret rules that govern every aspect of Hadza life, binding the tribe in unseen chains of fear and respect. Beneath the everyday rhythms of Hadza life lies a complex web of taboos, invisible, yet unbreakable laws that govern who can touch what, speak to whom, and eat which foods. These strict rules shape relationships and behavior in ways outsiders can barely grasp. The smallest violation is never just a mistake. It is a dangerous breach that threatens not only the individual but the entire tribe's delicate. Balance is certain. Foods are forbidden to specific members, and eating the wrong thing can bring shame or even invite illness and misfortune. These dietary restrictions are tied to spiritual beliefs, linking what is consumed to unseen forces that protect or punish. The Hadza believe the natural world watches closely, rewarding those who respect its boundaries and punishing those who defy them. Social taboos extend deeply into relationships and communication. Forbidden interactions between certain family members or clans prevent conflicts that could tear the community apart. Silence or avoidance in specific situations carries weight equal to spoken rules. To break these invisible codes risks exile. The worst punishment in a tribe where belonging means survival, these unwritten laws are the tribe's safeguard against chaos, a fragile framework holding together generations of knowledge, fear, and respect. The Hadza live with constant awareness that crossing a taboo may bring disaster, from illness to death, or unleash anger from restless spirits. This constant tension shapes every step they take in the wild. The power of these taboos lies not just in punishment, but in their ability to connect the tribe to a world beyond the visible. A world where respect for ancient rules ensures survival. Yet, even as these laws protect, they bind, creating a society ruled by fear, reverence, and the unyielding weight of tradition. From here, the Hadza's mystical connection to nature reveals how their spiritual beliefs guide every moment of life in the wilderness. The Hadza's survival hinges on more than just sharp eyes and swift feet. It depends on an ancient, mystical bond with the land that surrounds them. Their world is alive with spirits and unseen forces that guide every hunt, every healing, and every choice made under the vast African sky. This deep connection to nature is woven into their beliefs, blending ancient wisdom with powerful superstition. Hunters do not rely solely on skill or strength. They seek favor from the spirits of the animals they pursue. Before a hunt, rituals and prayers are offered to ensure success and to show respect for the creatures who give their lives. This spiritual exchange is vital, for the Hadza believe that disrespect can bring bad luck, failure, or even death. The wilderness is not just a place to survive. It is a living, breathing world filled with forces both protective and dangerous. Healing among the Hadza is equally tied to this mystical world. Medicine men and women use plants and rituals that combine knowledge passed down for generations with spiritual power. Sickness is seen not just as a physical ailment, but as a sign of disharmony with the spirits. Healing involves restoring balance, calling on ancestral powers, and sometimes confronting dark forces beyond human sight. This spiritual worldview shapes every decision, from choosing where to camp to resolving conflicts within the tribe. Hadza walk a narrow path between respect for the land and fear of the unknown. Their ancient knowledge is a survival tool, a delicate dance with nature's mysteries that has allowed them to endure where many others have vanished. This blend of wisdom and superstition keeps the Hadza tightly connected to a world far older than themselves. It is a world where every breath is sacred, every shadow holds meaning, and survival depends as much on faith as on skill. As their story unfolds, the Hadza's enduring customs reveal a harsh yet profound reality, one where Hamar tribe, inside the shocking rituals of Ethiopia's fierce warriors in the rugged lands of southwestern Ethiopia, where the earth cracks beneath the fierce sun and the air shimmers with heat. The Hamar tribe has lived untouched by time. Their world is one of raw survival, a place where nature's harshness shapes every breath, every step, every tradition. Here, the Hamar stand as fierce guardians of customs passed down through countless generations, refusing to bow to the modern world creeping ever closer. Their bodies tell stories at first glance. Men and women painted with deep red ochre, braided, hair adorned with beads and cowrie shells, and intricate scars etched like living tattoos. These vivid colors and marks are more than decoration. They are symbols of courage, belonging, and entrance in a world where identity is carved into skin as much as it is lived. Their clothing, made of animal skins and bright fabrics, speaks of a heritage both wild and proud, vibrant against the dusty landscape. The Hamar live in small villages scattered across dry plains and rocky hills, surviving through cattle herding, farming, and a fierce respect for the land. Their social structure is tightly knit, bound by ancient laws and ceremonies that govern every action, from marriage to conflict resolution. Elders hold wisdom like sacred fire, while the youth face brutal rites of passage that test the limits of body and spirit. Despite their colorful appearance, the Hamar's rituals are often steeped in extremes that shock outsiders. Pain and endurance are woven into rites meant to prove strength and loyalty from dangerous ceremonies involving bulls to punishments that echo harsh justice. Their customs can feel both alien and unsettling. These practices are not mere spectacle but powerful expressions of a worldview where tradition, honor, and survival are inseparable. The unforgiving environment, combined with fierce pride, has forged a people who are at once resilient and enigmatic. Understanding the Hamar means stepping into a world where the line between beauty and brutality blurs, a world where ancient rituals shape not just the body, but the soul. The stories that emerge from these remote lands reveal how culture can thrive in extremes, defying time and change. As the sun sets over the dusty plains, the next chapter unfolds, revealing the ritual that defines manhood among the Hamar, a rite both terrifying and sacred, where the courage to face pain becomes a passage to adulthood. In the heart of Hamar culture lies a rite so brutal it shakes the very ground beneath the feet of its young men. The bull jumping ceremony. This ancient ritual is not simply a test of bravery. It is a fierce passage from boyhood to manhood, a declaration of strength that carries the weight of family, honor, and social standing. The stakes are high, and failure is a mark that can shadow a lifetime. The ceremony begins as the village gathers, a sea of expectant faces painted with ochre and ash, their bodies swaying to the rhythm of pounding drums. At the center stands the young man, stripped to his bare skin, muscles tense and eyes fixed on the line of massive bulls before him. These animals, wild and unpredictable, are the living embodiment of power and danger, each one a mountain elf, muscle with horns sharp as blades to complete the rite. The young man must sprint across the backs of four bulls, leaping and balancing with every heartbeat as the beasts charge forward. It is a moment where the body is tested to its absolute limits. One misstep, one faltering grip, and the consequences are severe. Broken bones, crushing blows, or worse yet, the pain is not punishment. It is the currency of passage. The price paid to prove courage and readiness for responsibility. Behind this display of raw violence is a deeper social meaning. Success in the bull-jumping rite grants the young man permission to marry and claim his place as a full member of the tribe. It signals to all that he has endured pain and fear. Emerging stronger and more capable than before, the crowd's cheers are both relief and respect, a communal acknowledgement that the ritual has transformed the boar. Yet the ceremony is also a crucible of endurance for the family and community. Women whip themselves in public, shedding blood as a symbol of support and sacrifice for the jumper. This shared suffering binds the tribe together in a raw expression of loyalty and love, where pain becomes a language of connection. The bull-jumping rite captures the harsh realities of Hamar life, where strength, pain, and survival are inseparable. It reveals a culture that celebrates resilience through extreme physical challenge, and where identity is forged in the fire of tradition. The skin of the Hamar people is a living canvas, a vivid tapestry woven with scars, colors, and ornaments that speak louder than words. These markings are not mere decoration. They are powerful symbols of identity, courage, and social rank. Every line and mark carved into the flesh carries a story of hardship, endurance, and belonging, etched painfully, out proudly into the body. Scarification is one of the most striking and disturbing of these rituals. Using sharpened tools, the Hamar create deliberate cuts across the skin that, once healed, form raised patterns and ridges. These scars are badges of honor, a visible proof of bravery and resilience. Some patterns are earned after surviving difficult rites, while others mark significant life events. The pain of the process itself is a test of endurance, a physical proof that suffering has been faced and conquered beyond scars. The Hamar women are known for their large lip plates, discs inserted into the lower lip, gradually stretched over time. This extreme form of body modification is a powerful cultural statement. The size of the plate often relates to social status and marriageability. It is a form of beauty that challenges conventional ideas, a proud declaration of belonging to, a tradition that values strength and commitment above all else. The bright red ochre that coats the skin of many Hamar people adds another layer of meaning. Mixed with butter and applied daily, this red pigment protects the skin from the harsh sun while signaling vitality and fertility. The vibrant color contrasts sharply with the earth tones of their environment, making the Hamar appear like living flames blazing against the dusty landscape. Together, scarification, lip plates, and ochre paint create a complex language of body art that communicates more than appearance. It tells of endurance, history, and tribal pride. These physical marks are a constant reminder that identity among the Hamar is shaped by pain and perseverance. They bind individuals to their community, ancestors, and the fierce traditions that define their existence. This living art is a bold statement that beauty and strength are inseparable, carved not only in skin but in spirit. Discipline among the Hamar is swift, harsh, and deeply rooted in centuries-old customs. Justice is not measured by courts or written laws, but by the unyielding code of the tribe, a system where fear and pain serve as the ultimate tools to maintain order. Punishments are public, brutal, and designed to deter wrongdoing by turning shame and suffering into powerful lessons for all to see. One of the most feared punishments is public whipping, a ritual that strips offenders bare and exposes them to the harsh eyes of the community. The whip's lashes cut deep into the skin, leaving raw, angry welts that serve as permanent reminders of transgression. The crowd watches in silence or sometimes in grim approval, knowing that these displays of pain reinforce the tribe's strict values. Whipping is not only a punishment but a warning, a vivid demonstration of the consequences of breaking the rules. Exile is another terrifying sentence, often reserved for the most serious offenses. Being cast out from the village means severing ties with family, protection, and tradition in the unforgiving landscape where survival depends on the tribe's support. Exile is almost a death sentence. The isolated suffer the full weight of loneliness and vulnerability, a punishment that extends beyond the body into the soul. The Hamar's justice system is deeply symbolic. Every punishment reinforces the tribe's belief that strength and unity must be preserved at all costs. Pain and humiliation are tools to heal social wounds, restore balance, and remind everyone of the fragile bonds holding the community together. These punishments may seem merciless to outsiders, but within the tribe, they are accepted as necessary acts to protect tradition and survival. The cycle of discipline creates a culture where respect is earned through endurance and loyalty, where fear shapes behavior and enforces unspoken laws stronger than any written code. This fierce system of justice reveals the darker side of Hamar life, one where control is maintained through extremes. Within the Hamar tribe, women are far more than silent witnesses to the fierce rights of men. They are powerful participants in rituals that demand courage, endurance, and unyielding strength. Their role challenges outside assumptions of passivity, revealing a complex balance between tradition and defiance. The Yukali Beulah ceremony stands as a striking example, a public rite where women confront pain and fear in a raw display of loyalty and resilience. During Yukali Beulah, women gather in a charged atmosphere, their bodies painted with red, ochre, faces marked by determination. This ceremony is both a celebration and a sacrifice. Women whip themselves in rhythmic bursts, raising blood and cries as they endure wounds to honor the men who have successfully completed the bull jumping rite. This self-inflicted pain is not punishment, but a profound expression of support, a tangible bond linking women to their warriors, their families, and the tribe itself. The whipping is intense and relentless, a testament to the women's bravery. Enduring such public pain demands more than physical strength. It requires deep mental resolve and unwavering commitment to tradition. This ritual transforms suffering into a language of power, where endurance becomes a form of female agency within a society often defined by masculine strength. Beyond Euglebula, Hamar women assert influence in daily life and social decisions, shaping community bonds and preserving cultural heritage. Their tattoos, hairstyles, and ornaments signal status and identity, while their resilience under pressure challenges the idea that power resides only in muscle and bloodshed. The women's rituals reveal a culture where power is shared through pain and endurance, where survival depends on the courage of all members, not just the warriors. This dynamic blurs the lines between weakness and strength, redefining what it means to be powerful in the harsh world of the Hamar. The world of the Hamar is alive with invisible forces, spirits that linger in the wind, omens that whisper, warnings and ancestral powers that shape every moment of life. Their belief system weaves the seen and unseen into a single fabric, where the natural and supernatural exist side by side, guiding decisions, shaping rituals, and enforcing tribal laws with an authority beyond human hands. Spirits are everywhere, in the trees, rivers, and animals that surround the villages. The Hamar believe these forces watch over them, protecting or punishing according to respect shown. Every action, from marriage to punishment, is influenced by these unseen powers. Before important events, elders perform rituals to seek approval or favor, using chants, offerings, and symbolic gestures to communicate with ancestors and nature alike. Omens play a vital role in interpreting the future. A sudden storm, an unusual animal behavior, or a strange sound can be signs that influence decisions or warn of danger. These signs are taken seriously, often dictating whether a ritual proceeds or is delayed, or whether a punishment is justified. The tribe lives in constant dialogue with the spiritual world, where fate and choice intertwine. Ancestral spirits hold particular reverence, believed to be the keepers of tribal memory and justice. When disputes rise, or when punishment is needed, the judgment of ancestors is called upon. This belief reinforces the tribe's strict social order, as breaking customs is seen not only as a betrayal of the living, but also an offense against the eternal spirits watching over them. Sacred rituals blend physical and spiritual worlds. Blood spilled in ceremonies is both a sacrifice and a message to these powerful forces. The pain endured in punishment or passage rites is thought to purify the soul and maintain balance between humans and spirits. For the Hamar, life is not lived in isolation, but in constant connection with these invisible powers. Their worldview demands respect, fear, and understanding of forces beyond human control, binding the tribe together in a shared spiritual destiny. This deep spiritual fabric underpins all traditions, setting the stage for the final challenge the Hamar face, preserving their fierce customs in a world that is rapidly changing. The Hamar tribe stands at a crossroads, their ancient traditions tested by forces far beyond the rocky plains they call home. Climate change brings harsher droughts and unpredictable seasons, threatening the cattle herding that sustains their livelihood and shakes the foundation of their rituals. Modernization creeps closer with every passing year. Roads, technology, and outside beliefs challenge the old ways, casting doubt on centuries of customs once considered unbreakable. Young Hamar face new choices between the fierce rites of Their ancestors and the promise of a different future. Some resist change, clinging to scarification, bull jumping, and spiritual beliefs as the core of their identity. Others question the price of such entrance, wondering if survival means adaptation or loss, outside influences, government programs, missionaries, and tourism bring both opportunity and disruption. These forces introduce new ideas, but also risk eroding the tribe's tight-knit social order and sacred traditions. The pain and power of rituals like the bull jump or Eugle Beulah are increasingly viewed through a lens of outside judgment, creating tension between preservation and progress. The future of the Hamar hangs in balance, caught between preserving a fierce cultural heritage and facing the realities of a changing world. Their story is a testament to resilience, a reminder that even the most extreme traditions are fragile in the face of time. How they navigate this collision will determine whether the Hamar remain guardians of ancient rites or become a memory of a vanished past. Harappan death cult, unearthing the dark secrets of an ancient civilization. In the dust of ancient ruins lies a civilization both brilliant and haunting, the Harappans. Known for their precise city grids and sophisticated water systems, they built one of the world's first great urban centers. Yet, behind the elegance of their streets and the order of their buildings, a darker, more unsettling story emerges. Archaeologists have uncovered a pattern of ritualistic burials that hint at an obsession with death unlike any other in the ancient world. In Harappan cities, graves reveal more than just the end of life. Some bodies show signs of deliberate mutilation, broken bones ranged in strange patterns, skulls with marks suggesting ceremonial cutting, and even clusters of mass burials that defy simple explanation. These findings suggest a death cult with a powerful hold over the people, one that blurred the line between life and the afterlife. The Harappans' fascination with death was not merely about mourning, but about controlling what lay beyond. Objects buried alongside the dead, intricately carved figurines, mysterious amulets, and unusual pottery speak of beliefs steeped in fear and reverence. The dead were not simply laid to rest. They were prepared for a journey filled with rituals meant to guide or perhaps to trap their souls. This duality shocks the modern mind. On one hand, there is undeniable evidence of an advanced, peaceful society. On the other, these unsettling death practices expose a spiritual world darkened by mystery and dread. The Harappans mastered technology and urban life, but surrendered to a shadowy cult where death was both an end and a terrifying beginning. As the secrets of their rituals come into sharper focus, they invite unsettling questions. What drove the Harappans to these extreme beliefs? How did death shape their society? The answers lie buried in the silent tombs, waiting to reveal the horrors beneath the surface of this ancient civilization. What emerged from these shadows was not just a culture of the living, but a chilling obsession with death itself, a chilling prelude to the grim punishments and rites that would define their dark spiritual world. In the silent earth of ancient Harappan sites, graves of horror lie hidden, whispering stories of rituals both chilling and mysterious. Unlike simple burials, these graves reveal a terrifying world where death was not just an end, but a passage guarded by fear and dark ceremonies. Mass graves containing dozens of bodies lie scattered, their arrangement far from random. The dead were not always honored with peace. Instead, many were bound, mutilated, or placed in unnatural positions. As if caught between worlds, the evidence speaks of deliberate acts, broken limbs set in symbolic patterns, skulls bearing strange carvings, and signs of sharp instruments marking the flesh. These were not random injuries, but ritualistic mutilations meant to serve a purpose beyond the physical. Some bodies appear to have been sacrificed, their deaths offering a gruesome tribute to unknown death gods, while others were buried with objects meant to guide or protect them on a dark journey after. Life doth such mass graves suggest a collective ritual, where entire groups were sacrificed or punished, possibly to cleanse or protect the living. The presence of charred bones among these burials points to fire ceremonies, purification rites with F, flames that both destroyed and sanctified. These acts echo a deep belief in forces beyond human control, where appeasing spirits or gods required terrifying offerings. The Harappan death cult's grip is visible in every burial site: the twisted bones, the deliberate mutilations, and the careful placement of symbolic objects all tell of a society wrestling with death's power. These rituals, bizarre and extreme, were woven into the fabric of their existence, guiding how the living treated the dead and feared the afterlife. This macabre obsession challenges modern ideas of ancient urban cultures as peaceful and rational. Instead, the Harappans reveal a brutal spirituality, where death was a dark force to be feared, controlled, and, above all, appeased. As these grim practices surface from the soul, they prepare the way for even harsher punishments and rites that enforced this chilling worldview, revealing a society bound by fear and ritual, far from the orderly cities they built. In the world of the Harappan death cult, justice was a grim and unforgiving force that reached beyond the grave. Punishments were not limited to the living, they extended deep into death itself, enforcing spiritual laws with brutal finality. Criminals and social outcasts faced horrors that transcended mere imprisonment or exile. Instead, their fates were sealed by ritual executions designed to terrify and control the community. Evidence reveals bodies found with signs of violent death, throats slashed, limbs bound, and heads crushed, yet these were no ordinary murders. Each act bore marks of ceremony, performed with chilling precision to serve the cult's dark purpose. After death, some victims suffered post-mortem mutilation, their bodies desecrated as warnings to others. Broken bones were rearranged, faces disfigured, and remains displayed in ways that struck fear into the hearts of the living. Human sacrifice emerges as a haunting possibility. Archaeological finds include altars stained with blood and charred bones ranged in patterns suggestive of ritual offerings. These sacrifices may have been meant to appease vengeful gods or to cleanse the community of sin and impurity. Such acts reflect a worldview where death was a tool of justice, a final sentence not only for the body, but for the soul's fate beyond life. The cult's harsh punishments reinforced strict social order. Fear of violent death, both in life and after, maintained obedience and deterred rebellion. In this way, the Harappan death cult controlled not just actions, but belief, binding the community in a web of terror and ritual. This brutal system of justice reveals a side of the Harappan civilization rarely seen: a society where law and religion merged in terrifying ways, where death was both punishment and sacred right. As the layers of this cruel order unfold, they expose the darker depths of a culture whose fear of death shaped every aspect of its existence, preparing the ground for the symbols and objects that defined their haunting afterlife. Beliefs. Among the relics unearthed from Harappan ruins, death masks and enigmatic figurines stand out as haunting symbols of a culture gripped by fear and reverence for the afterlife. These artifacts offer rare glimpses into a worldview where death was not a final farewell, but a passage fraught with peril and transformation, crafted with painstaking detail. The death masks, often made from terracotta or precious metals, covered the faces of the dead, preserving their features while protecting their souls on a mysterious journey beyond. These masks were more than mere decoration. Their hollow eyes and frozen expressions seemed to capture a moment suspended between life and whatever came next, embodying the uncertainty and dread that haunted the Harappan people. They believed the soul's path after death was treacherous, filled with spirits, gods, and forces that could either guide or condemn. The masks served as talismans, guarding against malevolent entities and ensuring the dead were recognized by benevolent powers. Although, inside these masks, countless figurines, some grotesque, others serene, suggest complex beliefs about immortality and spiritual transformation. Figures bearing exaggerated features or hybrid forms may represent guardians, demons, or guides meant to accompany the deceased. Their strange shapes hint at rituals designed to control the soul's fate, reflecting a culture deeply entangled with supernatural fears. Together, these artifacts reveal a people who saw death not as peace, but as an ordeal. Every detail etched or molded into these objects speaks of anxiety about what lies beyond the grave, a liminal realm where identity could be lost or corrupted. This spiritual terror shaped the very way the Harapans prepared for death, influencing rituals, punishments, and the community's entire relationship with mortality. Through the eyes of these masks and figurines, the Harapan death cult comes alive as a world obsessed with the thin line between life and afterlife, where fear and hope intertwined in haunting rituals. As these symbols continue to speak across millennia, they set the stage for understanding how this ancient society struggled to master death and the dark power it held over their souls. What followed were rites and ceremonies that sought not just to face death, but to control its terrifying grip, rituals that pushed the boundaries of human belief and endurance. The Harapan death cult leaves behind a legacy cloaked in shadows, one that continues to challenge modern minds and reshape the understanding of ancient civilization, far from the neat image of a peaceful, advanced society. These disturbing rituals expose a deep and unsettling obsession with death that forces a reconsideration of how human cultures confront mortality. Why, the cult's extreme practices reveal that spirituality and fear often walk hand in hand, shaping not only burial customs but social order, justice, and identity for archaeologists and anthropologists. The Harapan sites are a puzzle of contradictions. Sophisticated city planning and technological brilliance coexist with mass graves, ritual mutilations, and symbolic sacrifices. This dark duality invites reflection on how death cults and extreme beliefs influence societies in ways that defy simple explanation. The Harapans remind us that civilization is not only built on knowledge and progress, but also on deep fears and rituals designed to wrestle with the unknown. This ancient death cult challenges modern perceptions of spirituality as purely hopeful or benign. It shows how terror of the afterlife can drive entire communities to terrifying extremes, embedding fear into their culture, laws, and daily life. Such beliefs shape their worldview and, ultimately, their fate, leaving an imprint that echoes through history. The lessons of the Harapan death cult reach beyond archaeology. They reveal the human need to impose meaning on death, no matter how dark or disturbing that meaning may be. This obsession with controlling death's mystery is a universal thread, weaving through countless cultures across time and place. As modern minds dig deeper into these shadows, the Harapan death cult remains a chilling reminder. Beneath every civilization's surface lies a complex web of fear, belief, and ritual. Understanding this legacy forces a broader view of human history, one that embraces both light and darkness, progress and primal terror. This journey into the heart of an ancient obsession opens the door to even darker rites and punishments, rituals that ensured obedience and fueled the cult's power over life, death, and beyond.